Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, today we're going to start chapter 4, and the title of the chapter is The Bell and the Hammer. In the last chapter, we left our characters, Polly and Diggory, in the wood. And the next chapter, chapter 4, the title is The Bell and the Hammer. In the wood, you already know that you have just the trees and the pools and nothing else. But this chapter begins with the title called The Bell and the Hammer. What it means is that the characters are now no longer in the wood. They are in a different place in which they will encounter a bell and a hammer. So Polly and Diggory, when they wore the green rings and they jumped into the pool, they found themselves in a new world, in a different world, which is different from ours. How is this world different from ours? Kind of look at the screen, you will find though this world was a dull, rather red light, not at all cheerful. In this world you have no sunlight, no lamps, no electricity light. You have just a red light. We don't know where the light comes from, but the whole world is full of red light and not at all cheerful. This light will make you sad. And then you have buildings, rows all around them. Nothing else, just the buildings. No roof overhead. In this world, the buildings have no roof overhead. And then you have the sky. The sky was extraordinarily dark. It's blue and it looks dark. The buildings, there are many buildings, and the buildings have many great windows. Not just small or medium-sized windows, great windows. And you have pillared arches. So this world is totally different from ours. And Polly and Diggory, they were comparing this world with the wood. Both places are quiet, but the quietness of the wood is different from the quietness of this world. How? In the wood, Polly and Diggory could feel that the trees were growing. There was signs of life. But in this world, you have nothing. You have just kind of dead, empty silence, cold, dead and empty silence. So if you look at this image, you will see that how C.S. Lewis pictured this place. You have this red light, the whole place is kind of reddish, dark sky, black sky, and you have buildings all around you, and you have piles of rubbles, which suggests that probably this place is destroyed many years ago. Right. And then, after when they were in this building, in this place, and they were looking around buildings, they were walking, and after a long walk, they entered a place where they found a great stone monster. A great stone monster, which looks quite like this. They encountered a great stone monster which had great wings, and it had its mouth open, and inside the mouth it had a pipe, so that water could pour down. And then beneath you have a kind of basin, so that it can hold the water. And when they looked around, they saw no sign of life. What they saw was there were no ants or spiders or any of the other living things you expect to see in a ruin. So you see, this place, excuse me, this place is a place of ruin. It is destroyed many years ago. And the signs that no ants or spiders or any of the other living things suggest that there are no signs of life. Where the dry earth showed between the broken flagstones, there was no grass or moss. So when you have no grass or moss, what it suggests that, again, this place had been destroyed many years ago and there was no sign of life at all. Alright, so Diggory and Polly, they were going into the buildings, and they were passing from one courtyard to another, and then they came across a hall room, large hall room, and inside the hall room they found that there were hundreds of people sitting, all seated, nobody was standing. And Polly and Diggory was thinking that probably they were having a serious meeting, so they stood still and they didn't talk. But they stood still for a long time, and then they realized that these figures were not actually real. How did they realize that? Quite simple. They saw no movements at all in the people, and they heard no sounds of a breath, right? So these are common features of life. When we see movements or sounds, we can say that it has life. If they're absent, then you can guess that they have no life. So they found a lot of people seated inside this whole room, and when they came closer, they found that they were wearing magnificent clothes. I don't know whether this picture is clear to you. These people like this, hundreds of people were seated, and they were wearing magnificent clothes of different colors, and they were also wearing crowns, and the crowns were attached with precious stones. And when they got closer, Polly and Digory, they found faces. The first few faces were kind and wise, and then when they got a little bit further, they found faces that looked solemn. They found solemn faces. What's the meaning of solemn? Solemn means serious. So they found serious faces. And then a little further, they found faces that are strong, proud, and happy. And after a while, at the end, they found a woman, and that was the most interesting figure in the whole room. Excuse me. So, what are the features of that woman? Kindly look at this screen, how the writer describes the woman. It says, the last figure of all was the most interesting, a woman even more richly dressed than the others. Very tall, with a look of such fierceness and pride that it took your breath away. So the woman was very tall, and she was the most richly dressed person in the whole room. You can easily say that probably she was somebody special, because her dress was quite different, quite richer than other people's. Okay, and then she had a look of such fierceness. What's the meaning of fierceness? It means that fierceness means anger or aggression. So when they looked at the face of this woman, what they saw was anger, rage, and aggression. And it was such fierceness that it will take your breath away. You will die of fear, seeing the face of that woman. And then after looking at these people, all the people in the whole room, their attention drew to a place called a square pillar. And they got closer to that pillar, and what they found was something interesting. They found this square pillar, and above this square pillar they found an arch. And from the arch was hanging a bell, and on the pillar you have a hammer. So the title of the chapter is The Bell and the Hammer. Does it make sense? No? Well, it will. So Polly and Digory, they saw this square pillar, they saw the bell and the hammer, and Polly was saying, I wonder. So he was thinking of what this thing is. And then suddenly Polly and Digory, they saw something written on the square pillar, something interesting. Can you look at the screen? It's kind of, when Polly and Digory read it, they didn't understand at first, but it's because of the enchantment, because of the spells. Later they realized what was written on the square pillar, and now they gave us in English language. It says, make your choice, adventurous stranger, strike the bell and bite the danger. Oh wonder, till it drives you mad, what would have followed if you had? So this short poem on the square pillar is kind of giving Polly and Digory two options. Either you will strike the bell, and if you strike the bell, what happens? You will welcome some danger. If you don't strike the bell, then you will wander and you will spend the rest of your life right here, and this will drive you crazy. So two options. Number one, you will either strike the bell. If you strike the bell, you will face danger. Bite means to wait for. So you will wait for danger if you strike the bell. If you don't strike the bell, then you will be lost in this place, surrounded by the buildings, and then this, what should I say, wandering will make you crazy, will make you mad. So if you strike the bell, you're in trouble. If you don't, even then you're in trouble. So which one are you going to follow? Now I want you to answer this question. If Polly was alone in this place, do you think she would strike the bell? Or if Diggory was alone in this place, what do you think? Is he going to strike the bell? So think of the nature of boys and girls and try to answer that question. So we will end this class right here. We finish up to page 64. We will cover the rest of the chapter in the next class, inshallah ta'ala. You will be given a worksheet, kindly complete the worksheet and read chapter 4. That's it for today. Jazakumullahu khair.